or introverted? The sort of person who will start to speak in order to understand what they're about to say, or the sort of person who remains quiet until they recognize what they need to say? There is a difference in approach. Some of you will claim middle ground. Well, that's okay. All of you will be able to do both, but you'll feel most comfortable. You'll fold your arms psychologically, perhaps in one of those areas. Doesn't mean to say you can't do both. More subtly, Jung identified the extent to which we make a decision through our thought processes, that is logic, results-focused, linear, factual, or do we just sort of get it about here and say, I don't know, let's just give it a go. I get that feeling. And it would be difficult to know exactly what you're measuring that against because it's an inner feeling. There are ways we can elicit what you're measuring it against if we look at your values, but it's a bigger, deeper process. So where are you on that? Do you think first? Is it about the result? Is it about linear, logical results, facts? Or is it more about the harmony, the relationships, and keeping things together in that way? It's a continuum. I probably fit quite close to the middle, but more on the feeling side. You'll have your version. Then even more subtly, down at the bottom here, the bit that's almost impossible to know unless you know somebody reasonably well, is the extent to which they are sensate or intuit. Sensation or intuition. Sensation. The sensate works out, processes information, if you like, through what is real, what is here, what is now, the feeling, the touching, as in touching, the smelling, the tasting, the hearing, the seeing, 5 senses. The intuit, somebody with more intuition in this sense, will think of the abstract, the story, the possibilities. How we measure this very quickly is to ask people to write about a snowman. I'm not going to ask you to do so, but when we do, people look at me as if I've gone crazy. I said, no, just write half a minute, write about a snowman. And the people who are sensate write 3 balls of snow, 2 pieces of coal for eyes, sticks for hands, a scarf around its neck. It will melt above 1 degree centigrade. It's what it is, it's what it's made of, it's the physical characteristics. The intuit, write about a snowman, intuit. Oh, a snowman, they say. Frosty awoke one morning. And the sensei looked and they said, what are you doing? I'm writing about a snowman. Where's the snowman? It's Frosty. It's Mr. Frosty. And what's going to happen is he's going to take off with a little child on his back, and he's going to float around the world. And it becomes the story, the abstract, the possibilities. They're right out there. You'll have a preference for one of those. You can do both, but you'll have a preference. My journey down that set of preferences goes extroverted, feeling, intuition. Yours, maybe, probably will be, very different. So how will you know which one you are? Well, luckily somebody's done all the thinking for us. Now, what I'm going to put up on the screen now is a circle, the quadrants of which may match your behavior. Let me have a look. For the English-speaking, we have these 4 quadrants. The behavior in each of those quadrants is categorized, indicated by these words. So red style of behavior, those words. Yellow style, these. Green, that. And blue, this. I've asked for a specific translation, and this, as I understand, is the translation. I don't know what any of the words mean. I have no clue. Could be saying something terribly rude, I don't know. But these are indicative of the style of person. If you relate to those words, you can put yourself in that corner. Just as a point, I'm going to ask you to decide which one you are most. And then second. And then third. And then which color or quadrant are you least? Just because you have one of those quadrants as least, it doesn't mean to say you can't do that stuff. My least is this one. Sometimes I have to go do it. Doesn't mean to say you can't. It just means to say you start somewhere else. Does that make sense? So what I'd like you to do is have a look at those quadrants and decide your first your second, your third, and your fourth. I will give you a moment to do so. Don't ask anybody else what they think. Some of you will say, but I'm a bit of all of them. Of course you are, everybody is. I'm asking where you start. I'm not asking you to limit yourself here. It's about this time I normally say, those of you who have red as the main preference, red on top, if you like, will have done this exercise 30 seconds, 40, 50 seconds ago. They'll have finished, they'll go, yeah, that one, yeah, go on. And they'll be saying, come on, Andy, coffee time soon, pick up the pace, move it along. Those of you who have decided on the yellow preference may be thinking, this is fun. I could do this with my friends in the bar tonight. I could take this back to my wife, my girlfriend, or both of them. Who knows? We could do this. It would be wonderful. Those of you who've decided green on top may be sitting there wondering what the next person has done. What did you do? Did you have green as well? Me too. That's nice. Ah, different. Ooh. Those of you who've put blue on top may be sitting there thinking in here, how can I make a decision based on such a small amount of information? So let's have a look. Who here would claim that primarily, doesn't restrict you, but primarily they start in the red corner? Just have a look around. Just hold your hands up so we can see you. Not that many, but I will pick up the pace. We will get a result. We'll move things along. No problem, guys. Scary people, scary. Anybody here claim primary yellow? Hey, how's it going? Woohoo! Yeah, I knew you were. Good Lord. Have a drink at the bar tonight. It'd be fantastic. Party. Anybody here claim primary green? Thanks so much for being here. Means a lot to me, thank you. Just feel connected to you. And anybody here decide that they start in our blue corner? For the blue preference, let me explain to you that there is a body of evidence that goes towards proving this as a factual piece of work. There have been in excess of 30 million interventions. What? They need to know this stuff. And it has been recently adopted by the British Psychological Society as a valid instrument. If you'd like further information, do ask. I will email you said information. These are the gifts that you bring on a good day. These are the gifts you would bring along when everything's moving along as you like it to. These are the gifts you bring. These are the things you're able to do when everything's working on a good day. The problem with that, of course, is not every day is a good day. In fact, sometimes there is a whole string of pretty awful days. So what happens under the circumstances of stress and of pressure? What happens to this set of strengths under those circumstances? What happens if you're feeling a little bit nervous, worried, tense, angry, hungry? My wife knows when I'm hungry before I do. Darling, you're hungry. Am I? Why? Oh, yeah, I frowned. Yeah, I'm good. Hungry, lonely, tired, and tonight, drunk. Ever seen any of these colours? Red, when they're drunk, they get very competitive. I can drink this beer quicker than you can. Ready, steady, go. Ha! I'm the winner. Yes! Yellow, when they get drunk, you got to watch it. Because they will be doing stuff out of the window. Yay! They get a little bit frantic, little flamboyant. Green, so lovely. When they get drunk, they go, I love you. Oh, no, not really. Oh, no, thank you. You're my best friend. I know we work together. Fantastic. Blue, I don't know. Blue, I've sort of seen propping the bar up. It's inscrutable. Don't get much. Drinking, quite happily. 5th, 6th, 7th drink. And eventually, their face doesn't give anything away, but they sort of... It's so true. Just watch that this evening. Not every day's a good day. Sometimes we're a bit upset. Sometimes we're a bit worried. This can happen. I'm afraid I don't have the direct translation into German. I'm sure our friends in the booth will help. On a bad day, think about those wonderful strengths that red could bring. That determination, that drive. Overplayed, because that's what happens. Overplayed. Sorry, somebody's mooning at the back. Overplayed under stress, that's what happens. The person who is feeling stressed will start to become a bigger version of who they are. They start efforting. So imagine red, who is determined, who is driving. What does that start to look like when it's overplayed? Well, we sort of saw it earlier on when I was doing the behavioral stuff. We used the word aggressive. They can come across quite controlling, overbearing, intolerant. They can come across as quite angry, a bit scary. And you know what? They will come across that way first to the opposite side of the wheel. If you have somebody in your life who is red preference and you are green preference, you'll see this stuff first. You're more sensitive to it. It's your opposite style. And you'll say things like, it wasn't so much what he said, but it was the way he said it. That's the way it goes. Aggressive control. What a shame. It's only red rising to the mark, stepping up, and saying, well, somebody's got to do something around here, and it always falls to me, so let's get the heck on with it. They can come across as scary. It's just them. It's just them. Yellow. Yes, you're right. Yellow is me, my corner. What does that look like overplayed? Great strengths of sociability, of enthusiasm, of fun-loving. When something goes wrong, what does that start looking like? What it starts looking like is this. They get very excitable, frantic, running around like a mad thing. Headless chicken, we call it. Flamboyant, hasty, indiscreet. Indiscreet, nobody wanted to know about the little bit of wee that came out, did they? Indiscreet. And they will start to look like that to these people first, because it's their opposites. All this stuff looks like that to them as yellow starts to get stressed. Green, what on earth could go wrong? Most of you here, a lot of you here, what on earth could go wrong with wonderful, calm, encouraging, tree-hugging green? Love them all. Well, you know, when the pressure, and own this if this works for you. It's only a model you might have transcended, who knows. But green energy will tend to just sort of call a bit of a halt. When we say they become a little bit docile, they calm, bland, reliant, having to ask people's opinions. So everything stops because they don't want to rock the boat. Oh, yeah, better not. Just in case. Don't want to do anything that might put them in jeopardy or further add to the stress or discomfort. Great skill to have. But when they do that in front of them, you get dysfunction. Because red wants to get on with it and do something, and green wants to stop and talk about it. It's their styles. On a bad day, our friends in the blue corner, who under normal circumstances can bring caution and precision and technical knowledge and the formality and questioning ability. Brilliant, brilliant skills to have. Not mine, but brilliant skills to have. Over the top, when stress hits, it can look a little bit like that. Indecisive, there's not enough information. Suspicious, I haven't asked enough questions yet. Cold, it's not about the relationship, it's about the facts. And reserved for the same reason. And they will come across that way to our friends in the yellow corner first, because they are the most sensitive to it. They are the opposites. Anybody want to change their primary color because of this? Or own it? You'll know if you're the reds in the room, you'll know you're using too much red energy when you get to work at 9 in the morning and by 3 minutes past 9, nobody's speaking to you. You've upset them all. Yellow. You know you're using too much yellow energy when you go to one of your distant aunt's funerals and use it as a networking event. Too much yellow, too much. Green. You're using too much green energy when you read about a plight of a hippopotamus in some far-flung land and donate your last kidney to the whole effect. Could happen. Blue. Blue, you'll know this blue. You're using far too much blue energy when having bought a new car, you purposely and specifically run it out of petrol to check the manufacturer's figures. If that's you, own it. You have a badge in front of you. It's made of Lego. What I'd like you to do is check to see how you will wear that badge, because you can either clip it or you can pin it, and then put the badge on in the order that suits you. Which are you first, second, third, and fourth? Each of those colours, by the way, comes off, so you can change the order of the badge. Which order are you? And just be aware of how the badge fits, because you'll do it and then you'll realize that it fits up the other way. So put those in order for a second. Okay. So during the rest of the day, when you meet somebody with the badge on, you can tell where they are likely to come from. If they've got yellow on top, have some fun. Just a little bit light. If they've got green on top, there's sincerity involved and warmth and comfort, and give them a bit of time. Got blue on top, back up what you say with factual statements and prove it. If you've got red on top, don't speak to them for too long. Whatever badge you're wearing, and some of you, by the way, will have identical color spreads, some of you will have opposite color spreads, and it's an interesting talking point for the rest of the day. Whatever badge you have on, it will give you a perspective. Literally, you are viewing your life through those energies in that order. My energy, I look through yellow first, red second, green third, blue last. And it has all sorts of implications to how I fold my arms and approach things. You are standing on a mountain. Metaphorically, not real, but you're standing on a mountain. And the mountain is your experience. And tomorrow, you will be slightly higher than today, because underneath you will slot today's experiences. So the base of the mountain will be the circumstances surrounding your birth, your ethnicity, your early parenting years, whether or not you had siblings and where you fitted in that pecking order. As we come up the mountain, there will be your first experiences at school, your first social interactions. Again, your parenting issues, what was going on there. As you come up the mountain, there's a great big chunk of mountain called puberty. That's a heck of a old chunk of mountain. Well, it was for me. Just me then. But old chunk called puberty. Then you move up through the early relationships you had. Were you a heartbreaker? Did you break hearts or did you have yours broken? Coming up through marriage, coming up through children, coming up through different career paths, coming up through completely unique circumstances to you today on top of your mountain. Now, it can be assumed, the analogy can continue, to suggest that people with similar backgrounds, similar ethics, similar